need to do is get all the components sorted out. So I used a 5 1/4 inch die, circle die, to cut out 2 circles, and then I used a 2 1/4 inch die to cut out the, is 2 1/4, yeah, a 2 1/4 inch die to cut out the centres. So that gave me a nice donut. I'm not going to throw these away that I cut out, because I'm going to cut out another circle using a smaller punch, and I'm going to make mini ones to use as tags. And I will do a little video showing how to do that, but it'll be the same principle as the large one. So that was the first step. Then I got a piece of ribbon which we're going to attach. We're going to glue these together just for strength, and then a piece of ribbon which we're going to tie on before we do anything else. And it can be any piece of ribbon. I'm just going with different shades of green, so that's fine. I'm going to make a sentiment to put across the middle of here. So I'm going to use real red ink, and I'm going to choose quite a large, I'm going to choose quite a large sentiment. I think I'll use the Christmas Wishes one. This is the Christmas Wishes from the Merry Christmas, from the Merry Mistletoe set. Sorry, I'm in a hurry again because I'm trying to beat the light as usual. So I'm going to just stamp that in real red onto Fayre Vanilla. Did you see me do that? I just did that. I did, honestly. I'm not making it up. And then what I'm going to do, this is just going to be like a ribbon across the middle of the wreath. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut that to a thin strip. I'm not going to decide, I'm not going to cut the length yet. I'm just going to cut the strip out, because they don't always end up the same size when you've finished, depending on how precise you are with your positioning. So I'm just going to be leaving myself a little bit of leeway with that. So then I'm going to use one of the greens that I'm using I'm using garden green. I'm using Old Olive, and I'm using, let me just tell you which greens I'm using, because it's not very good if I don't, is it? I'm not that hot on greens because I don't use them a lot. I am using Old Olive, which is this one. I'm using garden green, and I'm using pear pizzazz, okay? And I'm using real red here, and I'm using Daffodil Delight just for those little centres of the flower. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold that there, and I'm just going to cut a piece that's a bit bigger than, a bit bigger than my sentiment, and then I can cut that down at some point later on. Don't throw your scraps away. As you will see from this project, scraps are so handy to keep a hold of, and you can find ways to use them up. In fact, your scraps from this, I need a new blade again. Scraps from this could be used to make some more leaves for another project. And this is in fact a scrap itself. So what we're going to do is just put that to one side. That's kind of done. Now we're going to make some holly leaves, and I haven't got a holly leaf punch, and so, or a die. So not letting that get me down, I want 2 sets, so I've got a few more than I need here, of a large and 2 small holly leaves. So what I did was I used my stitch shaped ovals, used the smallest one and the next one up, I think. I cut and I've got 2 of these and 1 of those. I've got a few spares here for another project. I was just using up my scraps, so I was just going through and cutting things out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 1/2 inch punch, get that sort of so it lines up with the top of my leaf, and then I'm going to just punch it out, and then I'm going to punch it out on the other side the same, and then I'm just going to sort of line that up again and punch it out, line it up again and punch it out, line it up again and punch it out, and just keep going, cutting sort of semicircles out until you get to the bottom, and then just sort of join them together. And there you have a holly leaf. Did you see what I did there? Do you want me to zoom in a little bit? I'll do it on a bigger one anyway. So that's a little holly leaf. On a bigger one, I'm going to use this bigger punch so you can see. So I'm taking my oval and I'm kind of getting the middle of the oval onto the edge of my punch there. Just so I'm taking off like an arc. If my son was around, I'd tell you, I'd give you more idea of the angles and the proportion of the circle, of the shape we're taking out, but he's not, and I can't remember working on arcs. I can remember working on them in maths, but I can't remember anything about them. And so we're just punching around to get that. We're just taking off the stitched bit and just giving ourselves that holly leaf shape. Can you see there? And then it's up to you which piece you use as your top of your leaf or your bottom of your leaf. I don't suppose it matters. It's a suggestion. It's not, you know, it's not supposed to be biologically correct. It's just a suggestion. So that's our holly leaves done, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an old olive marker, and I'm going to use, I'm going to use the thick end, and I'm going to use old olive on all of these. I'm just going to draw a line down the middle, and I'm just going to give it some, I'm going to use the other end, the thinner end. And just draw a line down the middle and just give it some suggestion of a leaf shape. That I'm not really happy with that one actually. And just put some markings on, okay? Just to give it a little bit of authenticity. You don't have to do this though, by any means. But it just adds a little bit of something. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make our holly berries. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use real red, and I'm just going to use my 1/2 inch punch, and I'm just going to punch out sort of 3 or 4 or 5. There we go. And then what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to make these shimmer a little bit by adding on some red glitter paper. So cut the same amount out again. However many that was. However many I've saved from flying off the table. And that's the end of that. We don't need that anymore. So then we're just going to marry these up with these and glue those together. And this will just add a little bit of sparkle to your project. I'll use those for the other one. So I'm just going to use some Tombow. Now while they're just drying, you might just want to pop your wreath components together. So I'm just going to put some glue and stick that together. It doesn't matter if you haven't got them exactly right. I didn't measure mine at all. I just whacked them on. So there's your holly leaves. So what I'm going to do with those is I'm just going to pop them together. Okay, so now they need to be left to dry as well. Somewhere they're not going to, if you've got a silicone mat, which I have but it's not on shot, just leave them aside on that. Now what I did the rest of this with was the Festive Punch. I think it's called the Festive Punch, I'm not quite sure. It's not available anymore, but you can use any leaf punch, you can use any pet punch that gives you a petal shape, you can use a die, you can cut them by hand, you can do whatever you like. And I've made them using these colours. The other thing you do need is you need the back of the poinsettia. So you do need an inch circle, which I forgot to cut out, but I'm going to cut out now. Oh, here we go. I've got a scrap here. I don't have a 1-inch circle punch from Stampin' Up. I have a little Fiskars one that I've had for years. So there we go, again scrap busting. And then what you need is as many of these poinsettia leaves as you like. You might have seen a project I did the other day when I used 8 big leaves. But I'm just going to make this one up as I go along. I don't want it to be massive. So I think I might use 6. So I'm just going to put some glue onto my centrepiece and I'm just going to pop my poinsettia leaf there, and then I'm going to put one opposite it there. Let those just I've got 2 different shapes and 2 different sizes for the actual leaves for the 3 different sizes, sorry, for the oh sorry about this notepad, by the way, but I've been, well, you might see what I've been doing one day. I was just doing a little trail project. So we've got, using this punch, we've got some large, medium and small leaves in 2 different colours. So we've got small over there, we've got large. So I'm just going to pop my small ones. You can vein these leaves again if you want to. I'm going to pop the small ones over there. glitter on. You can put a little diamante in the middle of this poinsettia just to make it look a little bit cuter. You can frost the edges. There's so much you can do with them, and like I said, I just want to show you a basic kind of design, but that's really pretty. And if you let it dry, the glue is all going to dry. You don't have to worry about that, it'll all dry clear. And the back's nice. If you wanted to, what you could do is put this ribbon through before you stick them together, so that you've got that's all hidden. But that's what you would do actually, and then it hangs like that. Okay, so enjoy making them, and I'd love to see what you come up with. You could stick these on with dimensionals rather than glue, so they're standing off a little bit. If you wanted to do that, that'd be great. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.